Hi, I'm Yamini, and welcome to another interview on the fear of dying. But before we get to that, I have a quote from a mystic in Northern California. Her name is Miranda McPherson. She said, "The depth of us all is a presence of indescribable beauty, majesty, intelligence, and love. Yet, commonly, we live on the surface of ourselves, chasing after fulfillment in the external world. This keeps us seeking, but never really finding." Well, one person who has found her own majestic presence is my guest for today, Dr. Celestine Starr. Dr. Starr? Hi.
Yes, good to see you.
I'd love to tell you something about her before we begin our interview. For more than 40 years, she has offered her sacred healing wisdom, intuitions, and perceptions, worldly business knowledge, and creative artistic gifts. She experienced near death at the age of 6, which later prompted her to offer hospice and palliative care, pre-transitioning, transitioning, and memorial services for over 25 years.
Mm.
Well, my experience of Celestine is her generosity of spirit, her sweet, loving manner, her unwavering interest in the people that she is talking to and wishing to help, and her eagerness to support creative expression in others, often stepping aside so that others might shine. Now, this is quite a feat, given that she is such a huge and exquisite presence in any space that she inhabits.
Aw.
Welcome, Celestine. I'm so happy to have you here today. I imagine you, Celestine, is going to give us quite a different perspective on the fear of dying. Am I right?
Well, I hope to add to your work that you're doing. I'm really excited about that, and thank you for letting me come and be a part of sharing.
Oh, my pleasure, believe me. So I guess the first question is, what is your religious belief around death?
My my religious belief is there is no religious belief.
And that
It's
was a
not.
mute question, right?
Yes, it's not really based on religion because I was never really taught the way of religion. I was taught more the esotericism of religion. So if you'd say Christian, the good-heartedness, um, they would, I would be shown the back door, what's behind the veil of,
Right.
what is that good-heartedness? And the good-heartedness would, of course, be uh, because you take yourself with you. So you basically want to, the walk is to, in every step, be able to stand before your creator.
Mm.
And so that's the esoteric, and just being a Christian and a good person, that would be. But most of the religions have that, but then they're distorted in many different ways. So I would say my idealism of death is it is the gateless gate of which we transition through for the fourth part of the cycle. Some people think there's only 3 cycles. You're born, you live, you die. And there's actually the fourth is you transcend into this other dimension.
Mm.
And so that's what I would say. It's a transitioning, and I totally honor it without fear. And death is your friend.
I love that. And that eliminates the second question is, do you fear death? No.
Yeah. Well, fearing death is I meet so many people. I've worked with so many people, and we practice. If they are among those who are in hospice and such, we actually practice going out of the body.
Mm.
And we practice that we're going to the light.
Wow.
And I promise them that I will go with them on the day of. And I've had people test me. I'll never forget this one gentleman. He said, "This is it. We're going. This is it." And he got out of his body, and what he was doing was actually just kind of testing the waters. And he said, "Can you see me?" And I said, "Yes, I could see you clearly." And so I said, "Well, let's go. Let's do a practice." And in the meantime, in the body, he was just kind of sleeping away. People saw him sleeping. And he went and he came back and he said, "That's not so bad." And I know, not so bad, you know? So the willingness to meet your creator, that is the fear of, and because the transitioning is just that final breath, right? To release the breath. And I even do a practice where I surrender my breath, because in surrendering the breath unto the creation, then it puts you in that place of honoring, you know, that very, 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 very special place of honoring, because ultimately you are going to meet such an intelligence that knows every part of you. And then that is yourself, you know.
That is the cosmic joke, right?
It is. And, yeah. And had I not experienced every time you blink, every time you take a breath, every time you say, "Oh, you look so lovely," in the back of your head, you're going, "Gee, I'd never buy that." You know, every time you get in a conversation and you could hear the other people, both their voices, your voice, the whole conversation, and everything is a feedback loop, and in a sense, and it's coming at you so fast that you can only get glimpses of what is coming in, but you definitely, you know, are the person that you are when you stepped out. So it's really about your moral code. And if you live in a high state of, you know, standards, moral code, and you're ready in every breath, as uh, the shamans, they live the shaman life, the shaman path, is to be prepared in every breath to meet your maker. Then, you know, then you'll be fine. There's
Oh,
nothing to fear.
I love that. Thank
Mhm.
you. Can you tell us a little bit about your near-death experience when you were a child and what you learned from that?
Sure.
Okay.
So you have to imagine 6 years old, and we lived in Alaska at that time. Even though I was raised in England, we lived in Alaska just before we left to go to England. And my mother would take sleeping pills. So even if the house was chaotic or whatever, she would just kind of sleep through. And I decided one day that I wanted to sleep like her. And I didn't want things to happen that happened in the night that made me uncomfortable.
Mm.
And so I decided I would take a lot. I needed to sleep a lot. And so I took a large number of the sleeping pills, which looked like candy, by her bed. And I ended up being pronounced dead at the hospital
Wow.
and was revived, but, you know, stayed in a coma for quite some time, several days. And I went through the light. I distinctly remember just immediately being drawn into the light and the beauty of that. And as it got bigger and bigger and bigger, it engulfed me as I came through, and then the expansiveness of this dimension with beings kind of floating and flying here and there. And I was greeted by two forms that were luminous blue, and I called them the blue beings. And I had an intelligence. I didn't really look for my body. I didn't think about that. I was just in amazement with where I was. And as soon as they connected with me, I was immediately, boom, in a place of the, you know, the review of the
Right.
life.
Right.
And so I spent some time there. It was very, it would almost be like luminous light feeding you information like data, faster than the speed of light, of course. It's just really fast. And then once I completed, I found myself in the Godhead. And I call it the Godhead because that's as close as I could get it. Anyone who says doesn't know, because, you know, I would prostrate myself, you know, just it's one of those things that you give such honor to that you cannot really share what it is about, but know that there's enough intelligence. I mean, the intelligence level goes beyond words, and the presence and the respect. And so even though you might feel like not even a pinch of a pinch of a pinch of a pinch in the vastness of whatever, I could sense the vastness, you know, in a sense. You knew that this was something that wasn't to play around with. But I was told after a time that I was supposed to return. You will be returning. And I literally said, no, I'm not going back.
Mm.
So later I realized I told God no. And
How
I
dare
felt,
you?
I thought, boy, oh boy, you told God no. But there was no judgment in that, you know. It was like, okay. I said, well, if I go, because they revealed to me my life purpose, things were, you know, shown to me. And of course, I would have to go back to the humanness of the family that was, you know, dysfunctional at that time. It was very tough. It was not an easy place to be. And so I said I had to leave a portion of myself there before I would go. And they said, okay. And so I had to retrieve. Of course, you have to go back and retrieve all parts of yourself, you know, leaving yourself behind. And eventually, about 10 or 15 years later, it came to me, you know, you have to go claim that part of yourself to fully embody, fully be
Right.
here.
Right.
But I came back with such a pureness of energy around me, and the blue beings were there. I became so awakened. I think every receptor, all my full DNA functioning. It was, you know, information. If I was talking to you, which I am now, I could focus. I mean, now I could kind of focus things and control it. But before, it would be a digital readout of your entire life and what you were going to say and what you were going to do and these options. And you're going to talk about this, you're going to turn there, you're going to, and, you know, my mind was like, and so I just remained silent and observant, you know. And it took me a while to realize that I wasn't really living. I was more like a witness.
Yeah.
You see, because I have all the information. What kind of conversation can I have with you? I know if you're lying. I know if you're,
Yeah.
you know, your other voice,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
How many adults lie to their children? No, you know, no, you can't have that. Well, you know, yes, you can, but I don't want you to have that. That's,
Right.
you
Right.
know, so, but, so I kind of lived like that for a while. And my scientific mind, my numeration of mind, of mathematics and science kicked in. So I was living in quite a different world. So that's what I would say. It took a while to come in and, you know, kind of get it modulated so I could be present.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But that's what I get about you is that you there's very little ego there. You know,
Mm.
it's, you know, it's like you really are pure. You're pure essence. That's just my experience of you.
Mm.
So
I live, yes, I'm fully, you know, I'm in the process of final integration. But
wow.
there is, you know, there's a process that I help a few people who are ready, and I feel that you hold that space too, Yamini. You
Mm.
hold that space of divine wisdom. You always have from the first time I met you. You know, doing your work with the women's book that you did, and just offering something to humanity, which I really respected in you. You know, outside the self,
Mm.
and yeah. So, and
Thank you.
your love of
Well, I'm
everyone.
glad I'm older than you, because so you can have palliative care me or palliative care me
Oh,
when
it
when I
would be my pleasure.
transition.
Oh, honey, it would be an honor.
Oh,
Believe me,
yes.
it would be an honor.
Thank you.
Hmm. Yay.
Okay, let's see, where are we? Oh, about this pandemic. Has it had any effect on you in any way?
The pandemic has been a kind of like a rock and roll, you know. Um, I know that I'm not going to, my destiny is not to give somebody death. So that's number one. I tell people, really think inside, is this your destiny to give somebody death? And look at you, you shook your head no, right?
Right.
So I mean, I've raised two children, children, nieces, my one daughter and then nieces and such. When they had the snotty noses and the sickness, and we'd go to the store and people were sick, and we never thought about these things.
Yeah.
We just trusted that we were healthy, and so what? It was like we live in a world of bacteria and germs, but it had an effect on me watching people go into a state of separation.
Right.
That was the deepest effect. And I have two categories. One is the red pill, where, they wear the mask and they're afraid, that they're going to get something or somebody's going to give them something. But immediately they'll take that dollar bill or that $10 and give exchange of money, which is probably the dirtiest thing on the planet. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
Yes. There's no intelligence there.
There's not a reasoning, nor have they taken the time to go look it up.
Right.
So I need to do this.
It's a reflex. It's a total reflex, knee reflex.
It's a command. And I tell people, well, when are you who's going to tell you to take it off? So then there's the other ones who actually, I call it the black pill. And it's the gloves and the mask and whatever else they can put on to protect themselves. And they're so serious. I mean, they mask shame you because, for the first thing I did was, connect with my girlfriend who does radionics. And radionics is the medicine, quantum medicine that comes in as frequency. So everything's a frequency. And she received the codes out of Canada for this particular COVID. Now we've had 3 other COVID, so this is number 4.
Oh.
This is not a new thing.
Huh. All
and
right.
viruses are not bacterial.
Right.
They're kind of like you have your DNA that's making the receptors, and then you have the RNA, which makes the weaving and the copying of what the receptors say to do. So when your mitochondria of a cell, they're in the middle, the DNA in the middle of a cell, when that is damaged, the RNA is then sloughed off and put into the body, which makes the fever, because you have to bring the water up, the water content, to flush it out of the body. It's an automatic.
I see.
Yeah. So RNA is very difficult on the body because it's not alive.
Right.
So you have people that are not really aware of that. I mean, there's some fatty proteins are attached to it, So what we're looking at is a possible virus, because some of this that's going on has to do with the 5G, and there's doctors that talk about turn it on, and of course, it, the microwaving of the body is the destruction of the water, the cellular structure in your body, which has the oxygen. So of course you can't breathe. There's, it mimics the flu, it mimics the pandemic.
Wow.
Mimic pandemic. So there's all these layers going on. So it's, for me, I just am sharing with people, stay in your lane. Look around your house. You have beauty, grace. You're okay. I'm okay. We're breathing,
Right.
In California, we live in the beautiful place.
Exactly.
We have salt water in the air because it comes off the ocean. It's now too high of a temperature because we have summer.
Right.
We have summer, so that's too hot for the RNA to have effect on the body. It just doesn't work. It's non-functioning when it gets a certain. That's why the body heats up. The fever.
Right. To get rid of it. Right.
Get rid of it and makes it inoperative.
Right.
Okay. So either way, you're not going to. It's not going to be effective. But so how has it affected me? Sometimes I walk into the grocery store. It's really tough to walk in the grocery store with the black pill, gloves and the mask, and it's, the RNA is so small, it just goes right through the mask.
Oh, sure.
And it's
no protection whatsoever.
It's not going to obey 6 feet apart. So there's a ridiculousness that I'm just waiting for the universe. And now they say the increase in testing. But we have antibodies.
Yeah. Guess
So
what?
everybody has antibodies. For the last 10 years. It's been circling the earth. So you all, unfortunately, have antibodies for the coronavirus, because there's three separate ones. The first one was the bat to the animal to
Oh,
the human. The
right,
other two are man-made
right, right.
as a test, but it got out of hand. Here it is again.
Yes.
So there's doctors that confirm this. I'm not just talking off the
Oh,
cuff.
I know. I've heard it all.
Tribunals that are talking, Australian tribunal that now is looking at biological weaponry. So how does that affect me? Sometimes I allow myself to just emotionally, be frustrated. I'm not at the point where I want to be angry, because it's what humanity has to go through.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Right.
Um, I'm over it. And whenever, the awakening, whatever, I'm here to help in whatever way the awakening. So that's what I would say.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm so glad you're here.
If you're going to go, you're going to go. It doesn't matter if,
Yeah.
and I tell people, the only one who's going to take you off this planet is your
It's you.
creator. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's great.
we're back to the same subject.
Okay. So, getting back to your palliative care, have you ever been close to anyone that died in your presence, and you know you experienced grief, and how did you handle that, and what was it like to be in their presence when they died,
Thank you
when they
for asking.
transitioned?
Well, one of the things is I don't grieve for that, because I've been there.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you, you're getting an early out. You get to go. You get to go to that heavenly place, and you'll be back, because you're going to miss me. So I generally try to create a symbol. My mother taught me, she said, if I go first, you go first, we come back and we tell each other we're doing okay. And so she literally could cut lights on and off. I mean, I teach people how to do that before you go. I'll teach you how to do that. And the thing is, making a symbol, because when you're on the other side, the spirit world speaks in symbolism
Mm.
and sound languages. So I would make a symbol with them, and then we're together. And generally, I get out of my body and I go with them to the gate.
Wow.
So we go together.
The
And
gateless
so
gate.
the gateless gate. We go through the gateless gate. I take them up to the light, and it's for them to go through. And usually they have family or some spirit is there to catch you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so I can't say that I grieved. There's a sadness, that they're going. I've had, probably 15, 20. I think in one year we did 13 of them. And I said, look, December's here. It's Christmas time. No, 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 nobody, please, nobody. And so, but after 13 people in a row that we know in our community,
Wow.
that was, it was taking a toll on me.
Wow.
Each one is so different, so prolific and beautiful. We have some really beautiful people in our community. So
Yeah, we do.
But we practice, and they go, and it's really heavenly, and it's really beautiful for me. I miss them.
Mm-hmm.
I honor them. There is some sadness, but they got the early out, honey. We gotta stay here and keep going. So I don't know about that. I help others to grieve, I hold their heart, and it's precious.
So I know you believe in reincarnation, of course you do, but do you remember any past lives and what they taught you?
Thank you. I was with a beautiful group of people. There were 6 of us. We're still together. There's 7 altogether with me. And we began at the beginning of when we first came to Earth, and we went through every lifetime.
Wow.
My Egyptian background comes in really strong. But I remember coming through the Syrian gates of Sirius, this is star system Sirius, to Earth, and coming to Earth and being a part of the engagement of Earth as it developed this dimension, because most of the intelligence lived outside of the dimension of the physical that you
Right.
would call.
Right.
They call it the greening area. So I remember those days quite well, and I
Wow.
remember going through the flood. I think the hardest for me was the time of the flood, and I revisited
Atlantis.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember going over the area of England, which is now sunken into the waters, the edge of England down by Michael's Isle. And I went there to visit, and I remember the screams, and it was really tough. Those days were extraordinary, to live through the times of the flood, the great floods. And then I remember coming back, and they actually hollowed out the earth to bring the waters down. So the area of Egypt, they hollowed out. I think there's 90 miles of pyramid plateau, and 50 of that is underground.
Wow.
There's 50 miles of underground caverns and stuff. And the hollowing out of the earth and reversing the river so the Nile would flow up, and just,
Really?
the creation of all of that. And yeah, and my last incarnation, which is very interesting, I was a Persian woman. Isn't that interesting? Because I know the connection. And I escaped out of the harem. I was quite
Good for
wealthy.
you.
And I remember physically, going out of body and going to the place, the house I lived. I made my way to San Francisco.
Huh.
I was a very wealthy woman in San Francisco, and I was probably uh, about 39, 40 when I passed, and I drowned in a pool in San Francisco. But there, I know exactly the house. I've been to the house. I know exactly where it is.
Wow.
And what did it teach me? Um, that particular lifetime taught me about wealth and caring and sharing wealth, and suppression, oppression, the female, the feminine being free. So
Right.
there was the voice of the feminine speaking up, and I was already one of those speakers. They couldn't quite keep me down.
Yeah.
Yeah, each lifetime has just been a lesson of humanity and caring.
Do you think we're going to have another cataclysm like the flood? I mean, are we headed that way? Does it seem like we are?
We've already had a cataclysm in that the solar winds, the solar energies are down. Like there's a 25-year cycle with the solar winds down, but this time the cosmic energies, usually they track it. You have solar winds that go over the earth, and then it blocks the cosmic rays from coming in, the gamma and the beta rays. But this time there's none. We're wide open.
Really?
And what's happened that people are not aware of is we're actually mutating because of that. So the gamma rays that are flowing through your body right now, and I said, well, when I was shown this, I said, how can we track this? And the word is the Schumann resonance. So Dr. Schumann, he discovered that the solar winds and the cosmic winds have an effect on the human psyche and the human body. He did a test of, I think there's 15 women that he did a cycle of a moon or so. He tracked them for 3 or 4 months, and their modulation of their moods and things that they ate and what was going on was all in direct connection to the amount of solar rays and cosmic rays.
Hmm.
Now, what he didn't figure out is whether we have, through our own psyche, the ability to affect the modulation of the Schumann resonance. What that is it hits the earth and these cosmic rays and the solar rays, and it makes the earth ring like a bell.
Really?
And it rings, it has this
Because it's hollow inside, right?
yeah, it has a frequency and so normally it's at 7.8 hertz. So think about 7.8 constantly, consistently, and then recognize that it went up from that to 110.
Wow. Really? Just now?
So it's been over since early 1990s or so. It's been shifting, but now it's modulating between 110, 60. You can check it out. You can see. So there's no more, because it's been so long, there's no more 7.83. So we're no longer living in what they call the third dimension. It's a whole different dimensional field, which is more expansive, more electric. We were at the bottom of the Milky Way, and as we did this ecliptic, 2012, we hit the center. That's what that was all about,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
That's the center of the Milky Way, and then now we're up here. It took us 20 years to go across that expanse.
Wow.
Okay, so 1997 to 2017, now we're up here. So if we're in the magnetic field, now we're in the electric field. Now
Yeah.
we're taking in more light. Now you're taking in more light. Now you're more sensitive. The right brain opens. You're more sensitive, you're more cognitive, you're more, clairaudient, clairvoyant, more siddhas, more awakenedness, your interest in death, all this clarity. I need to know, So right brain, left brain are now going to be one brain. We're formulating the third brain,
Uh-huh.
which bypasses the reptilian brain, right?
The amygdala.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Medulla oblongata. And it bypasses all of that and it goes down the spine. So just feeling, some people feel exhaustion, some people headaches,
Mm-hmm.
but your body feels different. And I think that's a part of the keeping people inside. I think that the fear of the corona, the media population of that is to keep people inside so they can handle the shift.
Wow.
Because if you
Clever.
notice, you go out into the outside and you get more of the rays and then you come back.
5G. Yeah.
Yeah, you're either going to get the 5G or you're going to get the cosmic. But you notice that it's a little bit different. So
Yeah. But
that's
that's very interesting. I actually don't mind staying inside, and then I go for my
yeah,
walks, in nature.
yeah.
But I've been
Little,
perfectly happy here.
a little bit at a time will do. But so we've had the catastrophe. I absolutely am told there will be no flood. There will be nothing of fire. The heating up, the cooling down of the planet is due to the cosmic rays. You're going to notice there's substantially more cooling on the planet, even though
Uh-huh.
we have now 100 degrees in some place in Russia. There's happening, but yeah, the shifting of the temperature of the Earth is.
Uh-huh.
A lot of that has to do with the gamma ray activities and things like that. So
Wow.
now we're going to have to deal with the archons and all that
Oh,
negativity, right?
oh yeah.
This is
Yeah.
why everybody's so sensitive. This is why it's all coming up, child trafficking,
Yeah. Yeah.
police brutality. We suddenly woke up. We don't need that anymore. We don't need to be policed by,
Yeah. Yeah.
we want, you're a human. Oh, I didn't know that, it's like the waking up factor is happening.
Oh,
That's
I love
the
that. I love that. I'm
catastrophe.
so glad asked you to do this because really, it's just you opened up a whole new thing for me. Now, how am I going to go from here? Where?
Yeah, just what you're doing.
This is going to be the last interview.
Oh, you're so cute. No. I know your inquisitive mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm really doing this just actually for the purpose to help people to understand what they're going through and to understand death a little more. It's been such an enigma in this society.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the boogeyman, basically.
It's such a beautiful
Yeah.
letting go.
And I keep getting that kind of impression from so many people,
Yeah.
David Daniel Brinkley.
Daniel Brinkley, he's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I would love to be there with him. I mean, the one thing that I do say is if you get on the opiates, which normally they try to make somebody comfortable, so they want to give you opiates or morphines, it's the dream medicine, and people tend to take it and dream and wander off.
Yeah.
You wander off, and this is how they have the wandering ghost, because they were never told they were dead. They were never told they had left the body.
Because they experienced that same experience with the morphine. Yeah.
And they couldn't get back in,
Oh,
and they
God.
didn't understand how to go to the light. So for all of those who are out there listening, be sure you have a choice. You can go cannabinoids, you can go, CBD for pain, to modulate the pain. But if you go opiates or morphines, you definitely need to let the person know. Call them back in. Ask them, do they have their angels? Prepare them for the last and tell them, I will let you know. I will call you and I will let you know this is it. And send them to the light, because they go through, but they can come back. I mean, once you get the reading of yourself and you've actually cut the cords, you're no longer able to come back and be in your body, then you can return and be with your loved ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you have to go through to receive the reading of the light and meet your guides and get stabilized before you can come back.
I see. All right.
Yeah, but it's not the end.
Are we going to take our bodies with us on the ascension?
You have that choice, and I say ascension, it's more of an awakening. Right now, I've been to the other side. I've been and I've come back, and I'm looking at that, meaning, because I have that contact with the ultra-terrestrials. But the reveal is happening right now, in which the veils are going to be lifted, and everybody will recognize that our star relations have been here the whole time.
Right.
So when you say, can we take our bodies with us?
I don't really want to take this body, actually, to tell the truth.
You never know, because you could go to the other dimension and reformulate it. But
okay.
Yeah, I've taken my body to another dimension several times. And I have that opportunity to take it with me when I go, if I decided to leave. And so I made a determination right now in this moment to stay here. Right. But if somebody says, am I going to take my body with me? It would be to another dimension, a higher dimension, another frequency that is this adjacent to where we are right now. And the answer is yes. If you have enough intelligence and connection and desire and to learn and understand, it's there for you to learn. It is available. The answer is absolutely yes. You don't need to take medicine. This is what the meditators did many years ago, and which I did as a child, is to create your rainbow body. And what that looks like is in the darkness of the night or in a very darkened room. If you sit long enough, you'll begin to see the light particles, right? And so you begin to formulate those light particles into a form. And as you become stronger, you formulate into a body. And then you enter the body.
I see.
And as you enter the body, you open the eyes. This is the Egyptian, I open your eyes, open your mouth, I remember my name. And so this is, some of the practices of the rainbow body of the Tibetans. This is the Christ and his rainbow body. Part of his initiation was to create his rainbow body before all of this other stuff was happening. See? So you can take it with you. And it just depends on what kind of practice you want to do. It's all available.
Yeah, I guess there's no limits, right?
No, it's wherever you focus, there it is. The information will come.
Yeah, I remember when I was deeply into metaphysics after being with Osho, I did have an out-of-body experience, and it was going through a series of doors. I was like in a dream state, and I was going through a series of doors.
Yes.
I came to the last door, and it was like a half a door. It was like this. And I just looked at it and I laughed. I said, you call yourself a door? And boom, I was in the next dimension. And it was so amazing. And from there, I was flying all over the place. Yeah. But then I was being guided by somebody or something because
Always.
because I wanted to stay where I was, but
Yes.
but it was closing in on me, and it became obvious that it was over. The trip was over, and I had to go back. And I said, no, I don't want to go back.
See, that's what I'm telling you. I was like, no, I'm not going back. Are you kidding me? I'm just getting started, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Well, you see, you're my witness. And you see how they come, because what you did was you appeared in their living room. They're like, who are you? What's going on, you know? But there's always, the guide is always there, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So is there anything else you would like to tell us in regards to death and dying? Or I think you probably covered most everything that you could, you know, but is there anything else that you'd like to say?
In the lightest, love, trust. Trust in the compassion of your next cycle of your life. It will be resplendent. Or you could go kicking and screaming.
It'll still be beautiful, even if you go kicking and
Even if you go kicking and there's a dignity in it, you know.
Yeah.
When the body is no longer dignified, it lets go.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that, and just know that I think, what do I want to say? Follow the breath.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's simple.
it's that simple.
Yeah.
When you just take that last breath, just follow it.
Okay. Well, I want to go to your school.
Yay! Yes.
So, Celestine, can you tell us how people can reach you? Tell us what your website is, or any other information, contact information you can give us.
Yes, you can go to CelestineStarr.com. That's the easy one.
Okay.
That will connect you to Papillon, which is Pappilon, for
Okay.
Butterfly, Papillon Lifeservices.com.
Oh,
And that gives you the insight into like processes and the hospice and different things like that I do. I work. And yeah, so just, you know, signing up, get a newsletter, you know, send me an email, you know, and we'll connect and we can go from there.
okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring me today with your presence. It's been really delightful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You are a blessing in my life. Thank you for doing this for everyone. Yay.
Okay.
Okay.
See you on the other side.
Yes. On both sides. We'll be on both sides together.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.